Welcome back, everyone. The federal government has revealed that it is interested in moving most electricity consumers in Nigeria to Band A, where they will enjoy a minimum of 20 hours of electricity supply daily. The government disclosed this on Wednesday as the Transmission Company of Nigeria announced a major milestone in the nation's power sector, revealing that Nigeria has achieved a new peak power generation of 5,543.20 megawatts, surpassing the previous record of 5,478.73 megawatts. TCN says this achievement underscores the commitment of President Bola Tinubu's administration and the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, to elevate Nigeria's power generation and supply. Tonight, let's speak with Bode Fadipe, CEO, Sage Communications Limited, power sector policy analyst and advocate on this latest development and the overall assessment of the power sector. Good evening to you, Mr. Fadipe. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
All right. So Nigeria has achieved a new peak power generation of 5,543.20 megawatts, despite Minister Adelabu's promising to, ramp up power generation and supply to between 6,000 and 6,500 last December. Evidently, we were not able to achieve that, but 5,543 megawatts, is this something we should be rejoicing over?
I don't really know whether we should be rejoicing. Well, the journey of 1,000 kilometers starts with a step. From that perspective, I think let us congratulate the Honorable Minister of Power for adding about 65 megawatts to whatever we have currently. But I don't know. I'm not excited because if it has taken us this number of months to add 65 megawatts, how long will it take us to add more megawatts? So for me, yes, because they have issued a statement and they are looking for congratulatory messages, let's give them that pat on the back for being able to increase it by that quantum. But let's see how far they can go, because since 2023, this administration has been in power. We've done more than 1 year, and it has taken us more than 1 year to add 65 megawatts. How long will it take us to add more? Because this is just a recovery. It's not as if a new power station has been built. It's just a recovery. It's a recovery of existing capacity. It's not as if there has been any new power station built, new lines constructed, new transmission stations commissioned. No, none of. There has not been any new project. It's an existing capacity that they are trying to bring up. So for me, well, it's okay. Let's congratulate them.
But still taking Minister Adelabu's words for it, it says for us to have stable electricity, we must generate about 33,000 megawatts. It looks like we still have a long way to go. And juxtaposing this with the federal government revealing that it is interested in moving most electricity consumers in Nigeria to Band A, where they will enjoy a minimum of 20 hours of electricity supply daily. Is this good for the country?
Whether movement to Band A, moving all customers to Band A, whether it is good for the country, is that
yes, yes.
Yes, not just 20 hours per day, but 24 hours. 24 hours is what we need. So federal government is not telling us anything new. It is what we have always clamored for. It is what can bring about a productive economy. It is what can bring about a progressive economy. It is what can bring about a drop in social vices, because people will be more employed. People will have electricity to do so many. So 24 hours is our goal. If government is now saying we are just planning to move everybody to 24 hours, they are not telling us anything new. It is what we have always expected to see. So for me, it's good for the economy if they can achieve it, but not with these 5,000 megawatts that we are talking about, or less than 5,000, less than 5,600 megawatts that we are talking about.
Mr.
The current capacity that we have,
the
current capacity that we have is only good for domestic consumption. It's not for production.
Perhaps the question should have been, is this achievable if at the moment the consumers on Band A say they do not get 20 hours of light as promised? So how realistic is it that most electricity consumers get moved to Band A with the state of our national grid?
Currently, it's going to be a bit difficult to move everybody to Band A. The facilities are not there. Particularly at the downstream sector, which is the distribution, do they have the capacity to take everybody? Even the ones that they are taking up now, the ones that they have grouped as Band A, which are majorly the 3 kV lines, or those who are in the urban areas, they are not able to satisfy them fully. We still have faults lingering for 6, 7, at times 10 hours in a day. So it's not something that is realistic based on the facilities that we have on ground currently. I don't think that is realistic. Is it desirable? Yes, it is desirable. Is it something we should pursue? Yes, it is something we should pursue. Is it something that we are ready to get now? No, the facilities are not there to give us that capacity right now.
Because I wanted to say, aren't we supposed to, make sure our grid stops failing before setting this high target of moving consumers to Band A? But I also want you to speak to vandalism of power infrastructure, which, for many is a serious issue that affects both local communities and the nation. And to combat that, TCN has just launched a sensitization campaign across several FCT communities. It's also important to say that the Ministry of Power has proposed an 8.8 billion naira budget before the National Assembly for advocacy, education, enlightenment, and implementation of technology to safeguard power infrastructure. Please speak to that.
Now, I know that even the Ministry of Power came out to say, no, we are not saying we want to use 8 billion for enlightenment. But assuming without considering that they made that proposal, which they eventually denied, I think very strongly that TCN going out and Ministry of Power going out to enlighten Nigerians about the need to defend this critical infrastructure is not wrong. I don't have anything against it. Nigerians must be brought to that point where they will understand that there is no way this country wants to make substantial progress economically and socially and politically without having a quality and standard power sector that can galvanize the economy. We cannot continue to, it's just like a chicken, eating its own egg. It can never produce anything. So for me, unless we are ready to protect our critical infrastructures and make sure that we have electricity in this country, it's going to be a bit difficult. How can we go and be vandalizing 330 kV lines, 132 lines, steel cables, remove transformers, remove transformer oil, and all of those things, and we want a country that is working? It's going to be difficult. So
and I think that's the reason TCN is now highlighting the importance of awareness, and such huge amount of money has been budgeted for advocacy and enlightenment. But for you, how effective would this be? In what ways do you think this would encourage Nigerians to take ownership of these power installations and report any suspicious activities or incidents to the authorities, to the point that every Nigerian must understand that the vigilance and cooperation can significantly reduce vandalism and related crimes?
Now, the amount that you are talking about, 8 billion naira all over the country. I don't think, as a communications person, I don't think that is a huge figure, strictly speaking. Because by the time you share this with the mainstream media, social media, all over the country, by the time you do a breakdown of the budget, you find out that it's small money. If you really want to have a good footprint, if you want to wet the place with information to the public, let's look at what the health institution did during COVID. Virtually every day, minute by minute, they were passing out information, and the whole place was saturated. And it was not small money they spent, using newspapers, using radio, using television like your own, using the social media to carry the message. In some instances, even holding physical meetings with people, it is not too much for me. What is important for me is, are Nigerians prepared to change? Because it is a matter of their preparation to change that is important here. Are they really prepared to change? That's number one. Number two, even this enlightenment that we are talking about, are we sure that there is no internal sabotage within TCN, within the power sector, so that at the end of the day, it is a matter of, first of all, looking inward and see whether you have anybody that is trying to sabotage the system from inside, and before you now say you are going outside. Nigerians can afford to listen to you and be educated and advised on what to do. But where there is a bad person within the system and he knows what he wants to do, he will go and connive with his agents to do any evil that they want to do. So in that case, the enlightenment is useless.
All right, let's talk about other matters. This is efforts to diversify the general mix with more renewable energy sources such as solar and wind. How have we fared as a country? Do you agree with those who have said it has been relatively slower?
I think so. I think so. I mean, Rural Electrification Agency is saddled with the responsibility of, alternative sources of power. And we've been on this for quite some time now. We've not seen any traction. Let's take the universities, for instance. Rural Electrification Agency, Ministry of Power, is supposed to be working with the universities for them to set up their own power system through alternative sources. How many universities all over the country have been able to achieve that? The one I can point to readily is Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. That's the one I can point to readily. I'm not aware, even University of Abuja, that is in the Federal Capital Territory here, I'm not aware that they are on solar. University of Benin the other time complained very seriously about their bill. Not to talk of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, that even got about 10 to 15 professors to write to the president complaining seriously about the huge bill that the university was going to pay as a result of movement to Band A. So for me, alternative sources is a little bit slow, maybe because of the cost, because let's not pretend about it, the cost is not cheap at all. It's not cheap to go on alternative. To go on solar and solar sources, whether as a company or as domestic users, is not cheap. Look at the battery, for instance, the deep cycle battery, not to talk of the panels and some other facilities that you need to use. So for me, it's coming a little bit slow, but I think cost is a major issue. I won't say the technology is so sophisticated. I think it's a matter of cost majorly.
I wanted us to talk about it because President Tinubu has now reiterated Nigeria's commitment to achieving universal energy access by 2030. And he says to achieve this, he talked about robust international partnerships to finance and implement Nigeria's energy transition agenda. Have we done enough on our own part to, attract these kinds of investments into the country?
So I didn't get that question, sorry.
I asked the question because, yes, have we done enough on our own part to attract these foreign investments into the country?
Yes and no. Yes and no. And the reason is clear. For the market, yes, the market is available. You cannot have 200 million people in an economy and say that there is no market for such a thing. Even if it is that, it's about 1/4 of that, it's about 25% of that market that would be assessed. But you see, there's a major challenge with us in this country, and that is the respect for contracts. We don't have respect for contract in this country. That is one of the fundamental things, one of the fundamental factors that influence the Siemens contract and some other contracts that, even within this sector, generation is complaining constantly. The gas suppliers are complaining constantly of lack of respect for contractual agreements. So when you bring in foreign investors to come and invest in this country, and you don't have respect for the contractual agreements, of course, they will pack their load and go. So for me, while the market is available, government policy is a major issue that we need to review so that we can have a synergy between the investor and the local environment, and then that improvement can come in.
But you also look at how electricity theft and non-payment of bills have posed significant financial challenges for power distribution. Mr. Fadipe, how do we surmount this?
I know that recently NEC came up with a new order imposing stiffer penalties on theft of electricity and all of those unauthorized access to electricity. Let us see how far the system is ready to punish anyone found to have done something wrong, to have had unauthorized access to electricity. Let us see how the system is ready to punish tampering. Let us see how the system is ready to punish bypass, because these are issues, fundamental issues that define the liquidity problem that the sector is complaining about. The liquidity issue are from several perspectives, but from the end user perspective, it is one, inadequacy of the tariff value, two, the theft of energy by bypass, by tampering, and some other vices that you find with the end user. These are two fundamental things. And with NEC coming up with a new order, stating their willingness and their readiness to punish for any of these infractions, let's see how far they can go. But I am also not as optimistic. I am a bit pessimistic, in fact, because we have seen orders and orders and orders, and we have not seen the discourse taking the bull by the horn to say we are going to do a name and shame thing, and anyone we catch, whether politically exposed persons, whether lowly placed persons, we are ready to punish them for any form of infraction. Unless we are ready to do that, people will go on a frolic of their own, and they will do anything with the electricity.
All right, then. A great way to end the conversation tonight. But Fadipe, Power Sector Policy Analyst, CEO, Sage Communications Limited. Thank you so much for your insight and perspectives. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for having me. Have a great evening.
All right, bye. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke.